All right, good morning. Oh my goodness, thank you. Happy Pride, guys. My name is Liv Alanis Myers. I am the Deputy Administrator of the Howard County Office of Human Rights and Equity, and I'm also the Executive Secretary of the Howard County LGBTQIA Plus Commission. Tommy, and I am thrilled to welcome you this morning to the 4th annual Pride Flag raising in Howard County. Can we make some noise for Pride? Thank you very much. I first want to note that there are some delightful, wonderful, proud, strong members of the Howard County LGBTQIA Plus Commission here today, and I would love to ask them to raise their hands. And we can give them a round of applause for their service to Howard County. I would also like to recognize our elected officials who are with us here this morning. The Howard County Register of Wills, Byron McFarlane. Councilmember Liz Walsh, who is right there. Very good. 2 hands in the air, Liz Walsh. Sheriff Marcus Harris. Delegate Gabe Moreno. And today we also have with us Jessica Lakeman on behalf of Senator Van Hollen. Oh, good morning. And Delegate Pam Gazzoni, who I should not miss in her fabulous blazer. How dare I? And if I have missed you, now is the time to do something fabulous, or whoever holds your peace. All right, no more fabulosity here this morning. All right, so we are going to jump right into our program. So I'm very excited to introduce our fearless leader, Howard County Executive, Dr. Calvin Ball.
Thank you so much, Liv, not only for the very kind introduction, but frankly for all that you do each and every day for others. I want to also give a shout out to Lakeisha for being here. Who has the most amazing Office of Human Rights and Equity in the entire universe? Let me hear you make some noise. What a beautiful day it is. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Howard County is a place that celebrates our diversity and lives out our commitment to inclusion, not just in words, but in what we do every single day. I'm proud to lead a community that supports, uplifts, and stands with our LGBTQIA plus neighbors. Pride is a celebration. It's a celebration of joy, of art, of authenticity, and of love out loud. Pride is also a moment to look back at how far we've come and to remember that none of that happened by accident. In 2019, alongside PFLAG of Howard County and HOCO Pride, we hosted Howard County's very first ever Pride Festival. Woo. Woo. That same year, I signed an executive order creating Howard County's inaugural LGBTQ plus work group. This work group of dedicated community leaders came together around a simple shared belief that our diversity and commitment to inclusion makes us stronger and that everyone deserves to feel a sense of belonging in Howard County. In 2022, on the work group's recommendation, we made that commitment permanent. We sponsored and passed legislation to establish the Howard County LGBTQIA Plus Commission. And Liv noted that we have several commissioners here. Thank you for your service. Today, its members carry forward the work of inclusion, the work of understanding, the work of respect for every gender identity and sexual orientation across our county. To every commission member here this morning, please know that we appreciate your time, your heart, and your refusal to let progress stall. We have also invested where it matters so much for our future, our young people. Through our partnership with the Howard County Public School System, our school system employs an LGBTQIA plus initiatives specialist to support and stand beside our students in their most formative years. Through our youth engagement programming grants, we continue to support our school system pride initiatives and the students and allies who lead it. Every young person in Howard County deserves to know that they are safe, they are seen, they are celebrated for who they are. However, we know that progress is never guaranteed. We are living in a moment when hard-won rights are being questioned, put at risk, and in some cases, rolled back entirely. Here in Howard County, we are remaining clear that the rights and dignity of our LGBTQIA+ neighbors are not up for debate. Every member of the community is welcome here. As we celebrate this June, we recommit ourselves to standing up against hate, against discrimination, against erasure of personhood in any form. This morning, I also want to recognize two elected officials who embody that courage. Our Register of Wills, Byron McFarland, and our County Council Vice Chair, Christiana Rigby. These leaders show up for our residents every day, leading with integrity, compassion, and a deep love for their community, and authentically who they are. As proud members of the LGBTQIA+ community, they demonstrate what servant leadership looks like, and they widen the path for everyone who comes after them. Thank you both. In just a few moments, we will raise the pride flag over the George Howard Building, and this marks, as Liv noted, the fourth consecutive year this flag has flown at the seat of Howard County government since we first raised it together in 2023. And while the flag raising represents what many might see as a small action, it makes an enormous statement that Howard County government stands with and uplifts every member of our LGBTQIA+ community who calls our county home. And together we will keep building a Howard County where everyone is welcome, where everyone feels safe, and where everyone feels like they truly belong. God bless you and love you all.
As Dr. Bull mentioned, we have two elected officials with us today who represent a piece of LGBT history in Howard County. It is not an easy thing to be the first. Even in Howard County, where we can stand here on June 1st and yell real loud and have visible pride flag going up a pole, there's no guarantee of safety. There's no guarantee of inclusion, of welcome, of consistency when you come out. There just isn't. So I am very proud to welcome our next speaker, who is the first out elected official in Howard County, Byron McFarland, Register of Wills.
Well, good morning and happy Pride, everyone. It is always sunny on Pride. It's a beautiful day to be here. I want to say thank you to everyone who's here this morning, and I especially want to thank our County Executive, Calvin Ball, for starting this tradition, continuing this tradition, and I'm going to address the elephant in the courtyard here. It's an election year. We got some folks here who are running and some folks who are not here, and a good question for us to be asking people who are running for county executive and county council: will you continue this tradition? You know, Pride has always been about celebrating who we are as people, celebrating the journey that each of us took to get to living our true authentic selves, but it's always been that celebration matched with action, right? And so this year, I hope everyone talks to those who are on the ballot, including me, and says, what are you going to do for us? This is not just a symbol. And I know that because a couple of years ago, I stood here and I made some slightly unkind comments about a neighboring jurisdiction that had just days before made the decision to ban pride flags in their public schools. And my office later that day, my office got some angry phone calls. How dare he, say this about our county? I want to say, how dare you? How dare you, as our county executive, say, try to erase us? We're not going anywhere. As the county executive said, we live in, this is my home. I grew up in Howard County, and I take such enormous pride in this place. I was thinking, I graduated from high school 25 years ago, and it was my senior year that I interned for a young county council member, Guy Gazzoni, right on the other side of this wall. I actually found a picture of myself from that time wearing cargo shorts that I want to burn, but little fashion tip for everyone out there. But anyway, but this is, my life has always been here in Howard County. My political career started right in this place. And it was not just because of me, it was because of my community and a loving family that I've had the opportunity for the last 15 years to serve as the first openly gay, but also as your Register of Wills, a job that I really love. As we think about the future for our community, we should continue to celebrate the fact that, on days like this, again, this is not just a symbol. The fact that my office got a couple of phone calls tells me that when we do things like this, that message is heard far and wide. And that is exactly the message that we want to send to the rest of the state and the country and even the world about what kind of place this is. And again, as the county executive said, I think you were in my head this morning, or I was in your head, one or the other. But we didn't get to this place by accident. This was intentional. We do this intentionally. We take the time to invest in occasions like this to send a message loud and clear that everyone, however they identify, however they love, are welcome here in this place. So I just want to say, again, happy Pride to everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to serve all of you. And happy Pride Month. Thank you.
As I bring up our next speaker, there's an interesting shift from the history that was made by Byron being out, going into office. Christiana, Councilmember Rigby, was not out when she went into office. She had the shroud of safety. She had the consistency. She had, well, not the guarantee, but she had the possibility that no one was gonna go, no, you need to leave because of your sexuality. And she decided to come out anyway. And I won't share the story because it's hers to share, but what she has shared with me is that she didn't have a choice, because there was a day where she stood up and she was watching a young person speak loudly and proudly and went, I can't not be out. I can't not be someone for this person to look up to. I can't not be as brave as this person that I'm watching. So I'm very excited to bring up our next speaker, who represents a different kind of bravery, but the kind that we all need, Councilmember Christiana Rigby.
Hi everyone, I'm Councilmember Christiana Rigby, and I am so grateful to be here today with you all at this event. As you've heard, this is the continuation of a new tradition here in Howard County, and one that I deeply hope and will do my best to ensure continues with this next iteration of Howard County government. It is meaningful to come together in community and support our symbols and support the things that represent our broader efforts. I'll tell a little bit more about the story that Liv mentioned, but we had a student who was testifying for her appointment to the, I want to say, it was either the Human Rights Commission or it might have been the LGBTQIA Commission. But the way that she spoke at that desk, I felt like I could not help but mirror her. And I'd had this whole internal turmoil about, do I come out or not? Because maybe it doesn't mean anything to anybody. Maybe it doesn't, make a difference. I have a very straight passing life if you take just a glance. If you take two eyes, then you really see. But for a quick glance, you might not get it. But I really could not, it felt like if I didn't, I would be leaving her there hanging. And so I really committed in that moment, and that started a much broader sort of public journey. I was always out in my personal life, but when I ran for office, it seemed really complicated to explain to people, and I even tried on the doors sometimes, and it led to some very interesting conversations. But the point is that we have to stand as our full true selves, so that everybody can see what's possible and what's real. And I am so grateful because I look out on this courtyard and I see so many people who do that every single day, who make people who feel alone feel community. So thank you everybody here for creating community, because I see you, I know what you do, and I see how you do it, and I am deeply appreciative for you. So thank you for this day, and let's raise that flag.
This is the second year that I've gotten to speak on this program. And both times I've done it, I felt a little bit at a loss when it came to filling this part of the speaking, because it feels complicated to stand here and cheer for a piece of fabric going up a flagpole when we're dying, when legislators are trying to tear apart our families, when our children are afraid to go to school. And I've had to think really critically about what this symbol actually means in this time, especially when we live in a relatively safe, sheltered place, as relatively as you can get. And I tend to go back to the meaning of the symbol itself. So many of us know that every part of the pride flag means something, right? You have the original pride flag designed by Gilbert Baker, where you have red meaning life, orange healing, yellow sunlight, green nature, blue for serenity and harmony, and violet for spirit. But even that meaning's a little surface level, because that flag was designed in 1978 when it was being thrown together and hand-stitched to go up in a pride march in San Francisco. And then the gay committee went, ooh, we like that. And then a year later in 1979, we had to make a bunch more of them. Well, guess what? Originally, there were 2 more colors on there. There was pink and there was turquoise, and they meant something to the community too, until it was too expensive to buy those fabrics. So we just went, you know what? It's fine. We're just gonna cut those meanings out. And while on the surface, that's a humorous anecdote, it also stands for a community that was used to scrapping. A community that was locked out of jobs and housing. A community who, for many people, things like survival sex work was a way of life. People who were unhoused, just trying to get to a pride parade where we could maybe afford to make enough of these to fly in the air. And as we see from the evolution in the Progress Pride flag, not all of those people in our community were being represented in what we think of the history of pride. 40 years later, the Philadelphia Office of LGBT Affairs released the Philadelphia Pride flag, which is what added the black and brown stripes at the top of the flag. And that was to include people of color in the LGBT community. Did y'all know there weren't black and brown gays until 2017? Someone should tell Marsha P. Johnson. And then a year later, we went, you know what? That's not enough. We also need to remember that trans people exist. We should probably throw that into the flag. And then 3 years after that, we went, ooh, we also forgot intersex people. So at some point, this flag is going to be 47 feet long, and it's going to take the entire parade to carry it down the street. Because as we've seen, symbols matter, but only if we actually think critically about the meaning that they're bringing. And when we march under this flag, what we're marching under. And as we see every June, as pride flags suddenly appear in the marketing of hundreds of corporations who don't lift a single finger to support this community the rest of the year, it is very easy for a symbol to become diluted. And when we lose the meaning, the weight, and the history of our symbols, particularly when that history may not be easy or palatable, we do a disservice to our community. Many of us are going to get our fans out and go to drag brunch or go to Pride and cheer and yas at drag queens this month, because that's what we do, because we're gay. But are we going to think about William Dorsey Swann, the father of drag, the father of the ball, a formerly enslaved person who, when it was still illegal to cross-dress, was arrested countless times in his own home for dressing the way that felt correct for him? Who, when a police officer showed up to arrest him on his 30th birthday, and he became the first known person to be arrested for female impersonation, stood up full of rage and said to the police officer, "You is no gentleman." Because for him, the question of his dignity and his personhood wasn't up for discussion. And when we're raising our flags and waving our fans, are we thinking about that drag culture came out of resistance dances? That's what a drag ball is. Resistance dances came from cakewalks, which is a tradition from enslavement. And every single one of us who is part of that community stand directly on that timeline that lead to where we get to stand here today and look at this flag. So, for every child that finds solace in finding a set of colors that means I exist and I have a community that I am a part of, for every person who I know is standing here who is a part of this, and yes, I am looking directly at you, two of my elders who are standing here today who were part of this fight that got us this flag in the first place. Hi. Hi, Bob. Hi, Steve. Wave at the nice people. For every person who has been targeted or harassed because they wore a rainbow somewhere on their person, make it mean something. Go out this Pride Month and make it mean more than something we wave in the air. Because yes, it's a symbol of unity and celebration and togetherness, but a symbol is only as powerful as what we do with it. So as we raise the Pride flag today, please make a commitment to yourself, to our community, and if you're here as an ally, to the community here to support, to make this mean something beyond a symbol that we forget about after we walk home today. Thank you.